First thing we're going to do is find the surface area of this pyramid. Our surface area formula for a pyramid surface area equals 1/2 perimeter slant height plus capital B, which is the area of your base. So first, looking at this pyramid, the base of the pyramid is a square, so that makes it a square pyramid. So all of our capital P and capital B information are going to come from this square. So it might help to just draw a two-dimensional square or whatever shape your base is. So the dimensions of this square are 25 by 25. So all of my P information and capital B information are coming from this square. So perimeter, that's when you add up all the sides. So 25 plus 25 plus 25 plus 25 gives me 100. So my perimeter is 100. Now I need to find my capital B. That's the area of my base. So since I have a square, the area formula for a square is base times height. That's going to tell me 25 times 25, because remember, capital B and capital P both come from your base, which in this case is a square. 25 times 25 is going to tell me that our area of our base is 625. So now that I have my capital P and my capital B, let's go back to the problem and plug in what we know. So 1/2 is in the formula. Perimeter we found to be 100. Slant height, that cursive L, that's how tall your pyramid is. So find the height that connects to the tip of your pyramid, which in this case is 32. That's going to be my slant height. Plus the area of my base, which we found to be 625. All right, so remember, order of operations for this part. So in my calculator, I'm going to put 100 times 32 and take half of that, which will give me 1,600 or 1,600. Add in that 625, and that'll give you 2,225. Go back and look at your units, feet squared. That's my final answer. Now I'm going to show you a composite figure. All a composite figure is two of these figures put together. So first thing you're going to want to do is identify whatever shapes you have. If you look at the bottom, it looks like a cube. That's going to be our rectangular prism. For the top shape, if you see a triangle, you want to try to look for another triangle to figure out what kind of shape it is. So I see a triangle here. I also see a triangle in the back, which is on the other end of the figure. That's going to make that a triangular prism. So my two shapes, I have a triangular prism and I have a rectangular prism. So now I need to figure out what's my prism formula so that I can plug in numbers to solve. So prisms, surface area equals capital P times H plus 2 times capital B, area of your base. Remember, capital P and capital B both come from whatever shape your base is. So remember, when you're naming a figure, whatever that first name is, whatever the shape of your base is what base you're going to use to find your capital P and capital B. So let's start with the triangular prism on top. Since it's a triangular prism, that triangle is actually my base. Capital P and B are both coming from the triangle, so let's set up our dimensions of our triangle. I can see that both of the sides are 4, and then I don't know what this last length is, but I do know that front piece is a rectangle, so it must be 7. Height of my triangle, 2. So this basic two-dimensional triangle is where all of your P and B information is going to come from. Perimeter is adding up all the sides, so 7 plus 4 plus 4. 4 and 4 make 8. 7 plus 8 gives me 15. Capital B stands for the area of my base. Well, we determined that our base is a triangle, so the area formula for a triangle is 1/2 base times height. 1/2. The base of that triangle is 7, and the height is 2. If you get stuck finding your base and height of a triangle, just look for that right angle sign. All right, so 7 times 2 gives me 14. Half of 14 is 7. So I now have my capital P and B. Let's go back and plug this into our equation so we can find the surface area of the top figure. Perimeter, we found to be 15. H, it's the only letter that we cannot get from that two-dimensional triangle that we just drew. H is actually talking about the height of your prism. So whenever you find your base, locate your other base that's across from it in your figure. You're looking for that piece that connects the two bases. That's going to be the height of your figure. So I don't see a measurement here, but just like before, it is a rectangle, so I know the height of that triangular prism is 6 plus 2. Capital B we found to be 7, so times 7. 15 times 6 gives me 90, plus 2 times 7, which is 14. So the surface area of the triangular prism is 104. I'm not going to worry about units till the end. Now let's work on that rectangular prism underneath. Let me get this out of your way. Remember, with rectangular prisms, you kind of have a choice for bases. You could use that right side that we know the 4 and the 6 about. I prefer to use the bottom piece, so that's the one we're going to work on now. And I'll change my color just to make it more obvious that I'm working on a different shape. So scrolling down, we're still going to use that same formula as before. So surface area equals perimeter times height plus 2 big B. All right, so rectangular prism is telling me that my base is a rectangle. So I'm first going to draw that two-dimensional shape so that I can use that to solve for my capital P and capital B. So I know that this is 7, 6, since it's a rectangle. You can also plug in the other numbers. Let's find our perimeter. Well, 7 and 7 is 14, 6 and 6 is 12, so if I add it together, my perimeter is 26. Capital B, that's the area of our base. Well, our base is a rectangle, area equals base times height. Our base, we'll call 7. The height of that two-dimensional rectangle, 6. 7 times 6 gives me 42. So I now have my perimeter and my capital B, which is the area of my base. Let's go back and plug it in. So we found our perimeter to be 26 H. That's the height of that prism. So since I chose that bottom piece to be my base, you know that there's a piece across on the top of that figure that's identical to the bottom. You're finding that piece that connects the two. 4 inches is what's connecting them. That's the height of that prism. 4 plus 2, capital B we found to be 42. 26 times 4 gives us 104, plus 2 times 42, 84. That gives me 188 when we add them together. So I now found the surface area of my rectangular prism, and before I found the surface area of my triangular prism. So now what we need to do is combine those two together before our final step. So 104 plus 188 will be our surface area of both figures combined. It's going to give me 292. Keep that in mind, because I need to erase all of this so we can actually see what we're working with. Erase what we got going on over here. Scroll up. Alright, almost done, sorry. Okay. Now, think if I were painting this house. There is a piece in that figure that we technically wouldn't need. So we know that we have a triangular prism and a rectangular prism. Yes, they're sitting on top of each other. Think of us having two separate shapes and we're gluing them on top of each other. So now I want to paint all of those visible sides that you could see from the outside if it weren't see-through. So this piece right here, that piece, think of a house. If you had a roof on top of your house, there'd be no reason to have to paint that top piece that's being covered by a roof. because you're not going to see it, so it's a waste of paint. So let's find the area of that piece so that we can subtract it out. So it is a rectangle, so I'm going to draw that rectangle separately so that I have less to look at. If you aren't sure what the dimensions are of it, 7. This side, 6. So it is a rectangle, area of a rectangle, base times height, 7 times 6. That's going to give me my area of the base is 42. But think about it, if I have that triangular prism on the top, that has an area of 42 as the bottom piece, and then the rectangular prism on the bottom has the area of 42 on the top piece. So I actually have to multiply that area by 2 so that I account for both shapes. 42 times 2 gives me 84. So remember, I don't want to waste my money on paint that's not even going to be seen, so I want to take my entire surface area, which was the 292 that we found down here, and I actually want to take away that piece inside that we don't need to paint, so I don't waste my money. So 292 minus 84 leaves us with 208. Make sure you go back and look at your units. Inches squared, because we're finding area. So really, when you have two composite figures, you're just going to find the surface area of them separately. And then at the end, you're looking for the piece that's on the inside of the figure that we technically don't see from the outside. Think wrapping a present. It wouldn't make sense to wrap between the two figures because you're not going to see it. So just remember to subtract that out at the end. Another option for all of these, if you really are struggling with the formula, you can always look at your figure, pick all of the shapes that you see, and calculate the area of them separately. There's a triangle and a square, another square on the side, so you can use your basic two-dimensional formulas to solve for that as well. Just make sure that you don't leave out any of the pieces, because sometimes they're harder to see